Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Science, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University. Now I would like to discuss about third BSc Biochemistry paper, elective paper, that is basic microbiology. From this paper we have already discussed a few topics, and now let's see about reproduction in bacteria. So this is an important essay question. So listen with complete attention. Okay. So let's see reproduction in bacteria. Basically, this bacteria reproduce by using two methods, that is asexual mode of reproduction and sexual mode of reproduction. Here few bacteria undergo asexual mode of reproduction and few undergo sexual mode of reproduction, and few bacteria based on the suitable factors or based on the suitable environment, they undergo both kinds of reproductions. Okay, so first let's see about asexual reproduction. Initially, this bacteria, after the identification of bacteria, only the asexual mode of reproduction was identified. But in the latter part of the time, by microscopic observations, we came to know about the genetic exchange of the genetic material. Here you can know the difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Here in the asexual reproduction there will be no exchange of genetic material, but whereas in sexual mode of reproduction only the exchange of genetic material is seen. Okay, so first let's see asexual reproduction, and this is again two types, vegetative reproduction and sporulation. Now let's see about vegetative reproduction, which is quite common and which we know about this binary fission, budding and all. So under this vegetative reproduction we'll have binary fission, budding. If you see the diagrams also you can get an idea. So binary fission, budding, cyst formation and segmentation. So these are the few vegetative reproductive modes. So let's see about binary fission first. This is the most common way for bacterial reproduction, and this takes very less time when compared to the remaining reproductive methods. Okay, and here nothing but whatever the parent bacterial cell is there, it just divides into two halves. Okay, just divides into two halves, and this takes around hour. It takes around an hour of time. That means within an hour this binary fission can be easily completed. So firstly, what happens is whatever the parent bacteria is present, it is converted into a dumbbell shaped structure. That means elongation of the parent bacteria is observed. Later, whatever the plasma membrane is there, that particular plasma membrane, it forms an invagination. If you see in the diagram, what happens? Here the parent DNA, this parent DNA is divided into two categories, two parts, and here in the later part what happens, whatever the cell membrane is there, plasma membrane, it starts invagination inwards. First, if you see the first step, here in the first step what happened, whatever the genetic material is present, it got replicated. And in the second step, elongation of the bacteria cell is observed. If you observe the first diagram and second diagram, bacterial cell got little elongated. And in the third step, what happens? The cell membrane, it gets invaginations, and by after the cell invagination, the invaginations, they increase and they form a cross wall between the two sides, and finally two daughter cells were separated. So this is how binary fission will be carried. So first cell DNA or whatever the genetic material is there, it gets replicated. Next, cytoplasmic membrane elongates and elongated bacterial cell will be formed, and cross wall forms a membrane invagination. Next, cross wall forms completely, which ultimately divides two daughter cells. This is a binary fission. Okay, and the next method is budding. So here, from the parent bacterial cell, a small invagination, small bud-like invagination will be developed. Okay, so this particular bud, when separated from the parent bacteria, it will be a new bacteria, and we consider it as a daughter cell. Okay, so here a protuberance, a small protuberance is formed and is called as bud. It is called as bud, and it develops at one end of the cell, and here also genome replication follows, and whatever the genes present in the parent DNA cell will be replicated, and it is copied into the bud. And what happens next? Enlargement of the bud is observed, and daughter cells finally get separated from the parent cell. Okay, so first here how this budding is being carried. Initially, a small protuberance will be formed, and DNA replication carries, and whatever the DNA is multiplied, it is moved to the bud, and enlargement of the bud is carried. Finally, this bud will be separated from the parental cell. And here only few bacteria will undergo this kind of budding. So let's see some examples for it. Rhodopseudomonas is one of the important bacteria which undergo budding, and Hyphomicrobium and Pedomicrobium, Hyphomonas. These are the few bacteria which undergo this budding. Okay, so this is about budding. And next, cyst formation. Here in certain bacteria, protoplast of the cell, this resides from the cell wall and becomes rounded. That means if you see here, this is cyst formation. So what happens here is bacteria protoplast. What protoplast means? Nothing but the cell without cell membrane is called as protoplast. Okay, and this protoplast resides from the cell wall and becomes rounded, and this particular rounded structure is called as cyst. And here to this bacterial protoplast, a thick wall is secreted, and this will be converted into a cyst. That means a protoplast is resided from the cell wall, that means separated from the cell wall, and it becomes round. And this particular protoplast wall becomes thick, then it is called as cyst. And this kind of cyst formation is commonly seen in Azobacter. So Azobacter is a common bacteria which shows cyst formation, and during suitable environment and suitable conditions this cyst germinates to produce a new bacterium. So if you see here, this is the cyst. So this is the cyst. This is the cyst. And the next one is segmentation. So in few species what happens is bacteria reproduce vegetatively, and in this way what happens is whatever the bacteria which is in filamentous form, there will be divisions or formation of segments between the filaments, and there will be formation of segmentation. Okay, in this what happens is protoplast of the bacterial cell, at some stage it forms a division and a tiny body called gonidia. It's not conidia, it's gonidia is formed, and the cell wall will be ruptured, and this liberates the tiny gonidia growing into a new bacterial cell under suitable conditions. So if you see the segmentation, this is how segmentation is done. So initially whatever the filamentous bacteria is present, what happens there? A segment will be formed, and by this gonidia will be formed, and this will be released from the protoplast, and a separate bacteria will be produced during favorable conditions. Okay, so this is about vegetative reproduction in bacteria. And next one is sporulation. So this is nothing but the method in which few kinds of bacteria produce spores. Okay, in this kind we have conidia formation, odiospores formation, sporangiospores formation, and endospore formation. So these are the major spores that are produced by different kinds of bacteria during unfavorable conditions, and these spores under favorable conditions will be again converted into a new bacterial cell. So here only you can just see the examples, that's enough. This conidia is mostly formed by filamentous bacteria like Streptomyces. Okay, and these form chains of small spherical spores like conidia. If you see the diagram over here, you see the diagram, these are chains, small conidia, they formed into a chain. Okay, a chain of small spherical spores of conidia is seen here in the diagram. See how these are formed? These circle long chain like conidia were formed, and this is formed during unfavorable conditions, and during favorable conditions it gets germinated into a new bacterial cell. And in the same manner odiospores were also produced, and this is commonly developed by bacteria like actinomyces. Okay, so these are also just similar to these conidia, but conidia, if you see conidia, these are spherical in shape, but if you see odiospores, these are not spherical. Okay, and these spores are free at the end and undergoes additional separation through ingot to form numerous small reproductive units called odiospores. Okay, and these odiospores also germinate and produce filamentous bacteria during favorable conditions. And next one is sporangiospores. Next one is sporangiospores. These were commonly developed by branching bacteria like sporangia. In some branching bacteria, this sporangia will be present, and these develop certain hyphae at the end of the structures. Okay, and the protoplast of the sporangia may develop into tiny sporangiospores. At the end of the structure, there will be a hyphae, certain hyphae will be formed, and this hyphae, at the end of the hyphae, sporangiospores will be produced. Okay, and these undergo germination during suitable conditions. And next one is endospore formation. So during unfavorable conditions, bacteria like eubacteria, they have ability to produce endospores, or they convert themselves into a endospore. Okay, so here eubacteria is capable of producing endospore during unfavorable conditions. Okay, and in this state, that means during endospore state, it can tolerate exceedingly high and low temperatures. That means it can tolerate high temperature and it can tolerate low temperatures, and acidic and basic conditions also it can tolerate. And also it can also tolerate radiation. It can also tolerate radiation. Okay, it can withstand high and low temperatures, acidic and basic conditions, and also high amounts of radiation. Okay, and these endospores, we cannot easily kill or damage these endospores. Okay, but we can kill them. We cannot kill them by any means, and if we boil it for couple of hours or at any type of condition, we cannot damage them or kill them. And these endospores can only be made by gram positive bacteria. So here gram positive bacteria can only form endospores, and within the endospore remains the bacterial DNA, but the cytoplasm has a decreased water concentration. That means when you compare bacteria and endospore, both bacteria and endospore contains DNA, but when compared to bacteria, this endospores will contain decreased amount of water concentration. So if you see the diagram here, this whatever the bacteria is present, it undergoes sporulation cycle to form a endospore. Okay, so these are the different steps by which this endospore is formed. Okay, so this is about asexual reproduction in bacteria. So what we have seen, vegetative mode and sporulation. In vegetative we have binary fission, budding, cyst formation and segmentation, whereas in sporulation we have formation of different spores like conidia, odiospores, sporangiospores, endospores. Okay, so this is the common structure of this endospore. It contains a coat, outer membrane, a cortex, germ cell wall and inner membrane, and at the center lays the core with the genetic material. Okay, so this is about the asexual reproduction. Now let's see sexual reproduction. Which means transfer of genetic material. Okay, in sexual reproduction what happens? Two bacterial cells when they come in contact with each other, there will be a transfer of genetic material. There will be transfer of genetic material. Commonly we have few types of sexual reproduction modes: conjugation, transformation and transduction. Now let's see about each and every method individually. Okay. So here the first mode of sexual reproduction is conjugation. This was first time discovered by Ladenburg and Tatum in the year 1946. Ladenburg and Tatum in the year 1946. Okay, and they identified this conjugation process or conjugation mechanism in the E. coli bacteria. In E. coli bacteria, they first time identified this conjugation, and later two other scientists, Holman and Jacob, in the year 1956, they also studied on this particular conjugation. So here conjugation is the method in which genetic material is transferred from one bacterial cell to another. That means from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell, genetic material will be transferred. Okay. And this process is carried by a specialized intracellular connection called sex pilus. Okay. And here, while discussing about the general characteristics of the bacteria, there we have discussed there is a presence of special appendage called pilus, which is responsible for the transfer of genetic material. So here is the same structure. Okay, this is sex pilus will what it will help? It will help in the transfer of genetic material. Okay. So here genetic material from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell will be transferred by this sex pilus. Okay, by this sex pilus. So during conjugation, what happens? Genetic material is transferred from one bacterial cell to another through an intracellular connection called sex pilus. Okay, and we can also call this as conjugation tube. We can also call this as conjugation tube. Okay, and here to explain this conjugation, here for conjugation process, two kinds of cells will be present, F plus cell and F minus cell. F plus cell is also called as donor cell or male cell, and F minus cell is also called as recipient cell or female cell. Here, how we can differentiate this F plus cell or F minus cell? It is by presence of F plasmid. By presence of F plasmid, we can identify that particular cell as a F donor cell or F recipient cell. So the donor cell always contain F plasmid. Okay. So this is the major concept you should know before starting the conjugation process. And here, along with F plasmid, extra chromosome genetic material is also present in the cytoplasm. Okay, extra chromosomal genetic material is also present in the cytoplasm of the donor or male cell. That means F plus cell will contain F plasmid along with the extra chromosomal genetic material in its cytoplasm. And After that means whenever the F recipient cell, F minus cell or recipient cell comes near to that particular F plus cell, what happens? This sex pile or F pile, this will form association with the recipient cell, and from that moment what happens is this F plasmid, whatever F plasmid is present in the male cell, this will be controlled by this F pile or sex pile. Okay, and here we'll see the stepwise reactions. So here this is the donor cell and this is the recipient cell, and here you can identify HFR donor cell. It is nothing but high frequency recombination donor cell. That means this is a high frequency recombination donor cell. So whatever the F plasmid is present, we can also call it as high frequency recombination cell. So this is the donor cell with F factor, and this is the F minus recipient cell. So here if you identify, this is the F plasmid, and the this F minus recipient doesn't contain F plasmid. Okay, so now bacterial DNA is integrated with F factor or F plasmid. We can also call that F plasmid as F factor. Okay, in next step what happens? So here this F factor will be broken down, it will be cut by the enzymes, and here this F factor lies at the rear end, that means at the other end of the cut, and here the genetic material will be transferred to the F recipient cell. If you see the diagram, you can understand. So here the genetic material got cut into pieces and it is being transferred to the recipient cell. Now what happens? A small piece or small part of the donor cell's DNA or the genetic material is transferred into the recipient cell, and now this particular recipient cell, it will have a genetic material. So this is the recipient cell's genetic material. This is the recipient cell genetic material, and this is the donor cell genetic material. So in the next step what happens is, whatever the genetic material received from the donor cell is combined with the recipient cell, so that is called recombination. So, and after recombination process, we call it as recombinant cell, and the other fragments which are left over, they will be degraded. That means remaining part of the remaining genetic material which is left over, that will be degraded. So next what happens is, so again this is the high frequency recombination, and this is normal F factor, just normal F plasmid conjugation. F plus donor cell and F minus recipient cell will be there, and here F factor, this is the F factor, and this is the bacterial chromosome, and recipient cell have a bacterial chromosome, and they undergo formation of a conjugation tube is formed, and this replicating factor or F factor is transferred to the recipient cell, and here two kinds of DNAs, replacement of F factor transferred to the recipient cell. You can see before it contained only recipient DNA, but now it contains two kinds, F factor and also its own DNA. So this is how conjugation will be carried. Okay, this is how conjugation will be carried. Next one is transformation. So this transformation of genetic material was first explained by Griffith in the year 1928. Okay, so he worked on two different strains of bacteria, that is Staphylococcus pneumonia. That means two strains of the same bacteria, Staphylococcus pneumonia bacteria he have taken, and he have taken two strains. First one is virulent and pathogenic, and the other one is avirulent and non-capsulated. So here the virulent or pathogenic, virulence means pathogenic, and this particular virulent strain is a capsulated one, and next one non-pathogenic or avirulent with non-capsulated one. So these are the two strains that he have selected from the Streptococcus pneumoniae to study his transformation. Basically, he didn't set this experiment for the identification of transformation, but generally he is working on the Streptococcus pneumoniae, and as a part of his work he also identified the genetic transformation. Okay, so let's see how this is carried. So he have taken these two strains, strain 1 and strain 2. First strain is virulent strain, which is a capsulated one. Okay, and we can also call this capsulated one as smooth strain. Okay, we can also call this as smooth strain, and have taken this particular virulent strain and he growed this particular strain in a culture media. Okay, and the second strain is avirulent strain, which is a non-capsulated one, and we can also call it as rough strain. So he have grown that particular strain in a culture media. So he have two strains with him now. What he did is he have taken both the strains and he injected each strain into two individual mice. Okay, so whatever the virulent strain or smooth strain is present, after injecting that smooth strain, the mice which was injected with the smooth strain, it died. Okay, this mice was died of this particular bacteria. Later, what he did, have taken the rough strain. So as he have two strains, have given the second rough strain to the another mice, and here mice was not affected. So in the first, by giving the first strain, mice was dead, but in the second step mice was alive. Okay, and then what he did is he mixed whatever the virulent strain which caused death in the mice, have taken that strain and he heat killed that particular strain. That means he removed the virulence of that particular strain and he have given it to the mice, and mice didn't got any effect and it was alive. And later in the fourth step, what he did is he have taken a virulent cell and heat killed cell both, and he have given it to the mice and mice was dead. So these are the 4 different steps which he conducted on this two strains, on both smooth and rough strains. Now let's see what is the reason for death of mice in the fourth step. That is, when this Griffith, he injected a virulent strain and also heat killed virulent strain. Okay, both strains to the mice, and in the first step what he did, have just simply injected the smooth strain to the mice, which is a virulent one, and mice directly it got infected and it was dead. And in the second step, what happened? He have taken the rough strain and he injected it to the mice, and this mice, it was not affected. Why? Because this virulent strain is a non-capsulated one. It is a non-capsulated one, and we call it as rough strain. And in the third step, what happened? Have taken a smooth strain and heat killed it. So by this heat killed process, what happened? The capsule which is present around the what we call this virulent stain was degraded. So now by heat killing that virulent stain, this was converted into a avirulent stain. So here the virulent, this particular Streptococcus pneumoniae is showing its virulence along with the presence of capsule. Okay, that means both by presence of capsule it is showing its virulence, and as it was heat killed, what happened? That capsule was degraded and next it is free of its virulence. Okay, it is free of its virulence. Now it cannot show its virulent activity. So thus this whatever the mites was given with this heat killed virulent strain, it was not affected due to the degradation of that particular capsule. And in the fourth strain, what he did, have taken a virulent strain which is a non-capsulated one, and here heat killed virulent cell. So a virulent strain and heat killed strain, again they both combined and they developed into a virulent strain. Okay, so in the fourth step, mice was dead. So this is how Griffith explained this genetic material can be transferred from one place to the another. Okay, this is about the genetic transformation. Okay, and next one is transduction. So now let's see about the transduction. So coming to transduction, we have two kinds of transductions, that is general transduction and also specialized transduction. General transduction and specialized transduction. So in this generalized transduction, again we'll have lytic and lysogenic cycles which this bacteria undergoes, and we'll see these two cycles in the next class. Okay, so in this class we have discussed about the sexual reproductions and also sexual modes, and under asexual reproduction we discussed about vegetative modes, budding, binary fission, cyst formation and segmentation, and under sporulation we discussed about different spores like conidia, sporangiospores, endospore formation and all, and under sexual reproduction we discussed about genetic transfer and conjugation. So we'll see about transduction in the next class. Thank you, students.